thank you everyone for being here. Our first thing is take roll.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right. All right. Where's the? All right. Roll call time. Chris Bennett. Okay. Pam Bowers is out of town. Glenn Calhoun. Hey. Berlin Dotson. Terry England. I am here. Tony Hobson. Tony here yet? Okay. Michelle Hopkins. Margaret. Vicki Johnson. Carolyn Jones. Micah is here. Raven McKinney. Ross. Hey. Christy Phillips. Sally Westheimer. Welcome back. Okay, give me a second here, Mr. Chair. We have one.
All right. Next is review and approval of minutes from the January 28th meeting. Does anyone have any suggested revisions for those? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Terry, is there a second? Second. Glenn, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The minutes are approved. Next, we have our mission moment. Shar, that's you today?
That is me. I want to take a brief moment first to say thank you and welcome to our special guest from Louisville. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
My name is Raylene Robinson, and I am the newly appointed Executive Director at 555 Louisville.
My name is Jane Pfeiffer, and I'm founder of Field Trip and here to figure out the whole communications and marketing piece of it all.
So welcome and thank you for coming all the way from Louisville. And that is part of what our mission moment is. In celebration of Women's History Month in March, we also celebrated the women that have powered the promise by acknowledging our founding board members and other board members. And our mission is that, we know that this work only gets done by the collective power we do, and we were pleased to honor these women. You'll see them on social media posts throughout, and those that we didn't have photos of, we were listing their names too, because we don't want to leave anybody out. But the mission is really fueled by the power and collective knowledge of these individuals, so much so that we attract people from other cities to come visit and check us out. And also the mission moment that I wanted to share, as many of you know, that I spent most of last week in DC with the ECE Implementation Work Group, which is a collection of 14 kind of local preschool initiatives that's founded by the people that were successfully able to get universal preschool in New York City, which you know was the beat. And I was a bit starved, and one reason that I didn't expect that everybody oohed and awed when I said I was from Cincinnati, and that was the element of our evaluation that we actually surveyed our preschoolers. They said that was legendary and popular and a great idea, and now they're all implementing it. So sometimes we do come up with a little innovation here. So I wanted to share that with you, that nationwide people are recognizing the work that we do.
All right. I think next is just a quick, we're adding a couple folks to committees that needs board approval. It's in the packet. I think it's starts on page 6.
It's where the tab is, because it's the one item that we didn't get as a pre-read. So the tab has the full list, but these are the only 2 additions. And
It's not changing anyone's existing committee assignments, it's just adding folks that weren't previously on committees to committees. That's something that requires board approval, or no, that's something that, yes, requires board approval. So is there a motion to approve those committee assignments? Glenn, seconded by Sally. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, thank you. Those are approved. Next, we have Shara's Executive Director report.
Okay. I need to sit down and do this. It's really talking again about our priorities for Q2, and as again, the week was energizing and refreshing. You wouldn't think that for spending a week in DC, but it really was. It helped me focus a little bit on our priorities. One is making sure that we're tracking and paying attention to public policy, and for us, public policy is falling into two big buckets. What is happening at the federal and the state level with funding, as well as what is happening with new ECE policy. You will see to the right that you'll get updates in your board of managers updates, and we've brought a few copies here to try to help us gauge and look at what's happening with the federal funding buckets. You also had in your pre-reads a primer so that you know how much of the federal budget impacts and fuels our state budget as well. I will tell you the bright side of that is for the massive number of layoffs that have happened in DC, we now have the ability to have consultants, contractors, and individuals with decades of knowledge who are looking for new opportunities, who are ready to volunteer. So to have a former assistant deputy from the U.S. Department of Education Early Childhood Education Services say, "How can I help you?" I was like, "Would you like the short list or the long list?" So there is some positive side to have that, but we will continue to keep you updated on what's happening at the federal level. On the state level, many of you know that the appropriations bill from the House side came out at 1:30 today, so we're all looking at the comparisons between the executive suggestion and what the House voted on. In the next 7 days, it will be going to the Senate side. I am recommending that we not do any letter of support or written testimony till we have an opportunity to review what came from the House. And then as it goes to the Senate side, if we want to weigh in with our partners, we do that. We will follow our normal advocacy approval process if needed, but it's not going to be any recommendations that are outside what you all have already approved as our policy. Again, that just came out at 1:30 today, so it'll take some time for us to review that and let you know where we should fall. Other priorities are going to be strategic communications. We are a little bit delayed in our website refresh because part of what happened in DC as well is that I recognize while I sometimes feel a sense of urgency, there is nothing that I can do to keep up with the dynamic environment and the change that would happen. So maybe just slow my roll a little bit, take it in stride, and make sure that we do good and effective work as we always do, not quick work, right? So we're continuing to work with our partners on that website and what that refresh is going to look like. And you will see our impact report by the end of April. We do a revised timeline that you saw in the narrative executive director's report. What you'll also see is, then again, this I wanted to go back, I didn't do the slide. What's happening at the state level of the budget for the U2C, Department of Children and Youth Priorities, and we'll send this out for you because this will have a long-term and a short-term impact on us and what happens in October with the market rate survey and the fluctuation in how publicly funded childcare and other payments are made. So wanted to let you know that's happening. There is a plan. Whether or not this plan is reflected in the budget that got approved by the House and not just recommended by the department remains to be seen. This is our
Can you all hear me? Am I good for the recording? Because no, I cannot sit down and do this. The communications piece, just to let you know what the saturation of the market is for us. So as we roll into tuition-assisted enrollment season, you know that we have radio, billboard, bus shelter, PBS. We're on with Big Bird. That's our prime time for enrollment. We wanted you to just be able to see all the things that are happening. And more importantly, if you see it, like it, post it, and share with us, or let us know that you saw it, because we need to know where we're having the touch in the market to do our ROI. Always question this with billboards. The only ones we're not certain about is our Herald drop and our mail drop. If you remember, for the last 2 years, we did mail acquisition, which means we purchased the addresses of every family that was in our target audience and did a mail out. We may not need to do that this year, depending on how our enrollment numbers are working. But for the first time again, you have a full view of our communications overview and how we're showing up in the market, right? The other thing that we're also doubling down on, which you'll see in the dashboard and the commitment that we made to you, was that we're going to continue to push on CPP+, which is the social emotional learning, the other pieces that augment what our mission is. Volunteer Day this Saturday from 10 to 4 right here. Stop in anytime, send people that you know. We will be sorting 100 boxes of books from Queen City Book Bank and preparing Power Promise packs so that every provider will get a delivery for us next week in the celebration for the Week of the Young Child. We also are ready in the middle of April to do our next round with the Calm Caterpillar. It is the most requested provider resource, second only to peanut butter and jam. Sometimes they're neck and neck. And so we're inviting full classes to do that, and you'll see Bloomy. Remember, this is the tool that we provided providers for emotional regulation, breathing exercise. It's an at-home use kit. So it's something that we've been able to do with CPP Plus, and how you'll see we're really trying to implement that part of our strategic plan and be responsive to what the provider requests were. Also to highlight for you all partnerships and collaborations. Now, what's more important than ever are our relationships, how we build supporters, how we grow. This is a snapshot. This isn't everybody. This is a highlight to let you all know who we're working with. Blue is local. Yellow is kind of national organizations that we have strong partnerships with and our members are. The purple are sort of resource organizations that feed us, right? So we'll continue to update you because we count all of them as part of the Power of the Promise and what we do. You'll see our dashboard. No real major changes here for you all. We'll also send this electronically for you. We know that the ECE staff support will stay yellow till the end of the year. As we up that, we will have things throughout April and May. They're going to up our partnerships with organizations that focus on mental health and social emotional learning, so that yellow will go to green. So April and May are going to be busy months for us. But again, you'll also see one of the things that's highlighted is our 2, which is outside of school hours. And you all gave me the flexibility to say we don't know how we're going to tackle that yet. We're still working on it because we believe some of the partners that we have for that social emotional learning and mental health are going to help with that as well. So no big red flags on the dashboard, about the same as what you all saw. We do have some new high points and key initiatives related to philanthropy. We did not receive the initial grant for BI3 for Daddy for Equity, but we will be submitting a grant application this Friday for local advocacy and policy. We've pulled together probably 11 of those different partners to really talk about how we build a local advocacy strategy over the next 3 years. So we're hopeful and keep you updated on that. Always our enrollment snapshot. The exciting thing about this is you see how close we were this year to our performance for last year. Last year, grand total was 1504. This year, we're at 1458. We've pretty much topped out, but to have consistent year-over-year performance and numbers that are that close is kind of a struggle year, right? With changes, dynamics, uncertainty, things are happening. Thank you to our community engagement and tuition assistance team for knocking it out of the park as usual. So Flo and team, thank you for that. Numbers look good. As you know, we've exceeded our strategic plan goal of our 35%. Okay. Numbers again. You'll see how it's trending. This is Hector's graph. I know you all like to see it year over year, so you can see how we're doing with the colors, right? But the end result is numbers look good. We're in good shape. Okay. Always, I want to bring to you all the strategic questions that we're always looking at. The power of the preschool promise is that in a world of chaos and uncertainty, what we pride ourselves on is being a force of stability, being true and aligned to our mission. These are the strategic questions that I shared with you all at the annual meeting that we need to continue to look at as we move forward, how we expand and how we grow. Our cornerstone is always going to be the accessibility, the affordability, and the availability of early education. But keep in mind, as we start to look to the future, when our next study cycle is approved, and as we grow and expand, these are the strategic questions that we need to ask ourselves on, right? How do we talk about early education so it's not just 3 and 4 year olds? How do we make sure we're maximizing our use of financial and human capital, that we talk about not only the supply, but also the demand, right? We're seeing a growth of fringe family and neighbor care. How do we get engaged in that? Because that makes the demand on our end look very different. Data collection and analysis, how do we do that? How are we using it effectively and making sure we're collecting the right thing in an equity-centered model? How do we implement policies and practices that are best for families and children? Not just ones that are best for the organization, most convenient for us, and limit our liability. That focus is a little bit different than maybe we started. What's best for children and families? And then how do we leverage the momentum for change that we see at this moment in time and keep our stakeholders informed? For those of you who were there in the interview process for me, which was 31 people, if you remember, and you all asked me, who were the stakeholders for the Cincinnati Preschool Office? And I said to you, which apparently was a unique answer, everyone. Who doesn't benefit from supporting our children and families, right? So our goal and challenge as we move forward is to make sure that people understand how deeply embedded early childhood education in our mission is in public development, in finance, in workforce, in a successful county. In everything we do, we need to make sure that people are asking the question, how does it support, impact, or change early education in our children? So just keep these questions in mind, because as we move forward to think about the next iteration of the Preschool Promise, how we grow and expand, these are the questions that I'll be coming to you with initiatives, ideas, and requests for how we do system change to drive conversion. Thank you. That's it. That's all I got.
Any questions for Shara? All right. Next we have committee reports. I'm going to start actually. I have 2 updates I want to share. Next Monday, Shara and I and those available from the Master Agreement Committee are going to be joining in a CPS board meeting to talk about the upcoming meeting and to have a discussion about what we all collectively think is best moving forward. The plan is likely to go to the ballot this November with some either renewal or expansion of the current levy. So to discuss that and get on the same page to work toward putting together some type of shared resolution like we've done each time we've gone to the ballot together. We're going to share our thoughts and also to listen and to have a discussion, but there's really, I think, at least 2 significant items of discussion. One will be, is this asking for the same amount of money or more? And 2 is the duration of time of the levy. We're going to share our thoughts and listen. It's not a decision we really get to make on our own, but are appreciative of CPS wanting to continue the partnership and have these discussions and get to a shared resolution before we get there. So I don't really have much of a way of knowing how the discussion is going to go before it happens, but eager to have that discussion and grateful that CPS is having us participate in that discussion. We'll certainly have more to report back after that. The other update I wanted to share, and this is kind of in my thinking on the next little while in the timeline of Preschool Promise, I think we have a levy hopefully coming up in November, and then we're going to have some rethinking to do about what the future looks like depending on the levy and what gets worked out and how it goes. We have one kind of internal problem we have created for ourselves that I've identified that I'd like to fix. So I wanted to just raise it tonight because we only have another couple board meetings before the school year ends. But we, and it dates all the way back to our beginning, put term limits on the number of terms that our board members can serve, which is a good practice, by the way. And we have become old enough that we have had people term off without eligibility to come back for a little while. I think 2 years ago was the first time, and last year also. The way it kind of times itself this year, we would have 4 people who have served at least 6 years who are really important terming off of our board right before the levy. And then obviously being gone for the discussions of after the levy, how it went and what we need to do next. And I am going to propose to the governance committee that we make a change to extend the term limits one further. None of the 4 people who this affects have asked me to do this, and I think a couple at least might be frustrated with me that I am doing this. But I think, and by the way, they still will need to be renominated by a nominating entity or something like that to continue to serve on the board. But it feels to me like a needless, self-imposed way of making our lives more difficult during an important time. We have a lot of new board members who have done a great job getting involved. I'm really excited about, but would like to keep around that institutional knowledge if we can for a little while longer. So expect that to come. It's been driven by me and my thoughts on the next little while. And to those of you who thought you were escaping us, we will have those discussions, but that will probably be a governance committee relatively soon, and then be something that we bring to the board. It's just an internal change to our governance principles that we have the ability to change. So that'll be coming, and I just wanted to tee that up for everyone. Any questions on that? Okay. We next have the Finance Committee on the agenda. We don't have Tony here. Hector, is that something you're able to present on?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is the annual meeting we have where the board has received the 990, the financial statements from the auditor, and the filings that we would make with the state, with the Attorney General. It has already been reviewed at Finance and Audit, and Finance and Audit has moved it to the board with a recommendation of approval. It has been reviewed. The auditor came and spoke at Finance and Audit and provided the opinion that they have since our beginning, which is that we have the highest level of assurance that auditors can provide that our statements are accurate and correct according to U.S. accounting standards. They provided some other information. They had no qualms about our controls, no qualms. They would have listed any of those in the letter that precedes the financials. So the one item where we had, for many years, had conversations about was the analysis that we do in quality improvement, and they have put recommendations in there repeatedly throughout the years about the level of analysis that we do about the ROI on quality improvement. They have removed those this year when we explain what the I part of ROI was, because the investment would be significant in funds in order to create a system like what they had suggested. And once understanding what the investment numbers look like for the amount of funds that we spend and the other analysis that we already do, they removed our recommendation. Like they have for many years, they recommend that we continue to improve our spamware, internet type of security, and we continue to do that. So we are moving along with the technology, trying to improve as they have recommended. But what we bring today is simply for your approval to go ahead and file the 990, accept the financial statements, and file the Ohio Attorney General report.
Hector, thank you for that, and a testament to you and your team, your hard work of continuing to deliver in that way, so thank you. Are there any questions for Hector about the audit before we act on the recommendation of approval?
I don't have a question, I just want to add to your comment. Congratulations again. These audits over the years have gotten as good a results as I've seen in almost any organization, and that's thanks to Hector. Fabulous job.
Thank you. Don't forget, we get help from the United Way. Their team is also assisting us, but we appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the recommendation that we accept the audit and file the 990 and Attorney General forms?
I don't know.
All right, I got Carolyn, seconded by Marcia. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Finance Committee, for all the work on that. I know that takes quite a bit of time this time of year. Next, we have the Cost and Quality Committee and Sally.
You all were invited to attend our meeting where we had, we were briefed on the whole scope of professional development, technical assistance, the various ways in which Preschool Promise supports providers. At our previous meeting, we were asking little questions all the time about what the work involved, and were we doing this, were we doing that, had that changed? We were also hearing a number of new-ish kinds of programs. So Brittany and team presented to us, and in the back of your packet are the handouts we received. Of course, we're not going to go through any of it except to tell you that we covered professional development, which is largely training, and coaching, I think, is in that category. What the specific programs are involving supporting the workforce financially, how do we participate in efforts to recruit and retain people to the field. The partnerships, who our partners are in achieving this, and some discussion about what is happening at the state level, national level, the kinds of coalitions that Shara has been participating in so that we keep advancing this work. This is really just a report that we did it. I hope that in other areas and other committees, we take a moment to do sort of a board briefing on what's involved in those things, because we can be better board members and make connections or make better decisions if we are more familiar with the programs than we are. Anybody who was there have something to say or questions? Yeah.
I would just want to thank the CPP people who were present, because that was very useful as a new board member, to get a lot of the background and history and nuts and bolts about the operation. So I found it very useful.
And we appreciate the feedback and the questions, because it helps us think about it differently. And you all actually came with some suggestions about things that we may be able to investigate, and really talks to us a little bit more about, as we look forward thinking, things that we may revisit. I found myself saying, like, we already tried that. Well, just because we tried it once doesn't mean we shouldn't try it again. And so it being a lively discussion and interactive process was equally beneficial for the CPP team as well.
Any other questions or comments for Cost of Quality Committee for Sally? Okay. Next on the agenda is the CPS update. Vera.
Good afternoon. It's nice to see everybody. Just 3 quick updates. First of all, very excited about April 7th. We hope everyone can attend in a joint discussion with CPS and CPP. Our current numbers as of today, we're at 1,995 wonderful preschool children within our schools, and out of that number, 771 are receiving tuition assistance. Also, we are very pleased and happy. I've worked with our communications department that if you know of any private providers or providers that would like assistance or would like for us to come with our wonderful computers, laptops, to transition their children and enroll them right there for kindergarten, we would be happy to come. The connection would be communications, but if someone would like to just send me an email, I'm happy to make that connection to the right person, to have staff be there to help enroll the 4-year-olds into school age. Or any events that you would wish someone to be at, our district would love to be there to represent our kindergarten classrooms.
Awesome.
And thank you, Vera and your team, for providing the new application and process for parents for special education services. A hard copy of that will be going out to every provider in our Power Packs next week, with a link and a QR code to the electronic copies to make sure that they have that updated information.
That's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions for Vera?
Just a quick one, and I'm sorry, Vera, I'm new to the board. Do you produce a report like we do on the number of students? You just gave us the raw number, but do you have a report that we can look at?
You mean an annual report, or we don't necessarily do it? We do an innovations report that will be coming out soon. The timing when your all's report comes out and ours is different. So that is in draft form right now and is on our superintendent's platform that is will be rolled out. We do numbers weekly to our board and to our leadership.
So I'm trying to get up to speed. Is there some place on the CPS website that I can access last year's report? I'm just trying to learn as much as I
Should
can.
be on our website, yes. What is it?
And we'll send it to you too. It's the KRA results, and you sent it to us
With
after it's
innovations,
released
yes.
from the board. We will make sure to send the link as well as pull the documents down and store it in Google Drive so you all can access it.
We also have the report that we do CAA, our historic.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Vera, as always, for being here. Any other observers, comments? Anyone here from the public wish to make a comment? Okay. In a moment, we're going to move to executive session. For those of you newer to our board, there's quite the song and dance for us to do this. There has to be a motion to move to executive session with the stated purpose, which we have in our agenda, which is to discuss a personnel matter, the executive director's evaluations. That has to be voted on individually by roll. And then once that happens, assuming there is majority approval, we'll move into executive session. Following executive session, we have to bring the meeting back to public session to adjourn. Anyone here from the public, just so you know, I don't anticipate there being anything following our return. So you're welcome to wait around if you like, but there will be nothing to see other than watching us adjourn the meeting. Just wanted to put that out there. But with that, is there someone who will move to recess into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, the executive director's evaluation? Sally, is there a second? Second by Chris. We need to take a roll vote. Marcia, can you please call the roll?
Christopher Bennett.
Here.
Yes.
Yes.
Glenn Calvin.
Yes.
Terry England.
Yes.
Margaret. Vicki Johnson.
Yes.
Carolyn Jones.
Yes.
Ross Meyer.
Yes.
Kristen Phillips.
Yes.
Sally Westheimer.
Yes.
I'm a yes, and Chairman.
I'm a yes. All right, so we are now moving into executive session. Again, you may feel free to wait around if you'd like, and we'll come out and announce when we're moving back into public session, but at that point I anticipate we'll be concluding the meeting. We'll get our